Hey guys, Paul from Ashen Phoenix. It is new comic book day for the week of June 8th, and we're going to get started right now. This episode brought to you by Paul and Tim Do a Thing. We do a thing. We've been doing a thing for quite a bit. You should check it out.
Hey guys, it's Tim from Capes and Scowls, the comic book store, Team Ashen, Paul and Tim Do a Thing. I'm busy. Let's talk about some trades. Paul, you want to talk about some trades? Let's talk about some trades.
Kind of do this every week.
Yeah.
We should.
Yeah.
You just asked me a question like you weren't going to do it. I was just like...
I don't have to.
I mean, that's true.
I could not.
You wanted to include me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you know. I don't have to do that either, I guess. But this week was different, buddy.
Thanks.
Yeah. Tales of Suspense. Volume... I guess this would be considered Volume 1. You know, I don't have a clue. But this is old Tales of Suspense. Early Iron Man and Captain America stories, which is great. I would imagine that has to be the Volume 1. We've got Swing, Volume 5. Definitely not for kids, but, hey, that's for everybody else. Matt Hawkins is great. Tales from the Dark Multiverse 2. Did we do any of these?
I think we did.
We did a couple, right? I know we did a lot of the first run.
Yeah, the first one was awesome.
If they're anything like the first run, they're super good. So you've got Hush, Flashpoint, War of the Gods, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Metal, which was like brand new at the time. That was kind of an odd choice. But there you go, retellings of those in different ways. Static Season 1. I reviewed a bunch of Static on here. Pretty interesting new take on him, but I think it's pretty good. We got Crossover Volume 2. This is just such a weird concept for a book. Donny Cates, very meta, you know. Grip of the Combinat?
Okay.
This book's weird. I was flipping through it. This is just, I don't even know. I don't even know what to tell you, but I would buy it because it's fucking weird. Dark Blood is our final trade from Boom. This looked kind of cool, but that's about all I can give you.
First up, we have Poison Ivy, issue number 1. This is an interesting series. So basically, you kind of had to know what's happening with Poison Ivy to get this. She gained a ton of power and then had it all taken away. And she's a bit resentful, and that's what this book is about. She is going to kill the world. And some of you are like, wait a minute, but like, Harley's in the world. They kind of... feels like they broke up? I don't know. It's an interesting story. Poison Ivy is always that fun character because she's never quite good. And sometimes she can be quite evil. But her reasoning is never quite black and white. And that is what is the draw for this character. So the same thing happening here. Like, she's going to destroy the world, but not because she hates the world. She just wants to save the world. And the only way to fix that is to fix the most invasive species on the planet, and that's us. So, check it out.
Alright, first up for me, we have Metal Society issue 2. You may recall that I reviewed issue 1. This is from Zach Kaplan, who I enjoy quite a bit ever since Eclipse. And this is the story of a woman and a robot that are going to throw down in the ring for supremacy and human rights and robot rights. And basically, issue 1 was all about the human, how we got to this point, what the role of humans are in this universe. It's not what you would think. And it's basically a society run by robots. This issue is the flip side. We're going to learn about the robot, how he got to this point, and how he pretty much had a bad day. And you think, okay, he's just following protocol and, you know, he just goes along. Robot life is very interesting in this universe. And he has one hell of a shitty week, really. And he has no more options. He's pretty much demoted from what he knows how to do. And he's basically got no choice but to do something a little more drastic. So, very interesting. And I like that this has hinted at the fight and it hasn't got there yet. And I assume next issue, maybe we'll get some training or something. And the final, I think it's only 4 issues. The last issue will be the actual fight. I don't know. Either way, I'm really enjoying this. And it is an outside-the-box kind of take on a actual just fight. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Next up, we have Twig, issue number 2. This thing is so adorable. I love the art in this. It's just beautifully done, and it's very well written. Twig has found out that the person that's supposed to give him his quest has been long dead, and he goes and manages to put things together and figure out what his quest is actually going to be, and it's way bigger than he expected to, and now has to go on this this mission to both repair the damage that he's already done, and find out what he needs to do to make sure he saves the world. This is just a really it's very interesting because much like I Hate Fairyland, the world is so very fantastical and colorful, and since it's not Earth, you really can't tell what's going to happen next based on what you're seeing on the page until it actually happens, and that adds a really fun element to the story. So I love it. You should definitely check it out. It's only 2 issues in, so shouldn't be too hard to find the first issue.
Next up for me, we've got Dark Crisis, issue 1. Man, are you ready for another crisis? I know I am. I love crises. This is a pretty good story. It was nearly my pick. So what we have going on here is the Justice League is dead, if you haven't heard, and basically only Black Adam is still around from that group. And it is really it follows a bunch of characters, but it's really following Jonathan Kent, who is trying to do the best he can and put some sort of Justice League together to help fight all the criminals, because the criminals are going kind of crazy. There's a lot of cult level villains that are all of a sudden they're all working together. They're all coming at the same time. They're spreading the heroes really thin, and essentially he can't figure out why this would be. Why are they so coordinated? And they fear that all the big bads are still to come, because nobody's really doing anything with the big bads. Interesting setup, very funny moments, but also a very serious tone to this book, and I'm curious to see where it goes. It definitely feels like a crisis. It definitely feels like it's going to do big things in the end. There's some wild stuff that happens in this issue, so if you're remotely curious about the DCU, I think you have to read it.
And my pick of the week, it is After School, issue number 1. This book is not what you expect it to be. Basic concept is a girl who is kind of a screw-up, not just great. Like, she's not a terrible person, she's just not good at anything. And her parents, in kind of a last-ditch effort, it's like, let's get her a dog. Maybe giving her some kind of responsibility will fix things. And it does. It gives her a huge gain of confidence and almost an outworldly ability to get things done. And she becomes a model student. We find out things are not quite what they expect or should be. And that leads us down I'm not going to spoil it for you, but this leads down a very, very dark hole that you were not expecting. And even the ending of this particular issue, you just weren't expecting. So yeah, it's so weird, at times even gory and creepy and everything. Yeah, this is a fun one to read. If you're into gore, I mean, if you're not into gore or a little squeamish, this might be a little bit rough in some sections, but I mean, overall the story is fantastic. The art really lends itself to the telling of keeping you off kilter about what things should look like and what they are. And yeah, I love this story. I can't wait to see more of it.
All right, it's time for my pick of the week. Paul, do you know what my pick of the week is? That's right, you don't have a clue. Jane Foster and the Mighty Thor.
I mean, I could have guessed that.
You could have, and you didn't. This book is pretty fun. So we don't get a lot of the male Thor in this. We get Jane a lot. She is Valkyrie, if you're not following the current Marvel storylines in the comics. And it's a very interesting story, but basically what you find out is there's forces working together to free a bunch of Thor's big enemies to attack Asgard all at once, and they're having pretty much a successful time here. So Jane is trying to kind of go about her life. She's getting used to she has some neat powers as Valkyrie. But Thor throws the hammer to her. Basically, he can't be seen. Sif can't find him anywhere in the realm, so they know something's up. And as a last-ditch resort, he threw the hammer to her because he knew Jane could pick it up and fight back. It is a pretty... I won't go too far from there, but it's a very interesting story. I like the setup. I'm curious where it's going to go. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. So if you remotely like Thor, I know there's a lot of Thor stuff going on in the other issues. There's the Banner of War storyline. I don't know if this crosses over into that too much, but this story on its own is pretty solid. So definitely check it out. All right, that is it. Thank you, everybody, for checking us out. Make sure you check us out on our other channel, Paul and Tim Do a Thing, where we do things. And that's about it. So, make sure you go to your local comic book store. If you're in our area, come by the comic book store, 30 North Main Street, Glasper, New Jersey. And that's about it. Right, Paul?
Yep.
That's it. We're done. Hi, Donald. Bye, Donald.